This is what happened when they found out. They got the #1 overall pick. The excitement, the cheers, the smiles, big things coming potentially for the Indiana Fever. Again, back-to-back #1 overall picks.
The Indiana Fever have made consecutive #1 overall selections. For the past 2 years, Indiana has been developing and getting better. Seasons later, they found themselves in the 2024 playoffs, exciting fans all the way. This was largely because of the presence of young superstar Caitlin Clark, but it was also because they led one of the league's biggest turnarounds this past season. The Fever have the best young basketball star and are pursuing a new objective, so Indiana needs to make changes and upgrade if they want to win a real championship. The Indiana Fever have made it clear that their top priority in free agency is the two-time All-Star Kelsey Mitchell. As other teams around the league look to cut branches from your tree in an effort to better themselves, here's a look at who will and should be gone before the start of the 2025 campaign. Contender, but there is a bittersweet aspect to becoming a better team. Not all of the fan favorites will return next season. You'll see. Since Mitchell had no long-term contract with the Fever, she entered the 2024 WNBA season in a contract year, meaning that she was an unrestricted free agent at the end of the season. The 29-year-old guard has played in Indiana for all 7 of her career seasons, but the team now faces the possibility of losing her now that she is set to become an unrestricted free agent. Mitchell has already stated that she wants to stay with the team throughout the offseason, but she hasn't ruled out leaving in free agency.
Draft is, oh man, I think me and Tori could kind of speak on like how good you feel to be a part of it, how humbling it is to be a part of, and I think for the next draft coming up, whoever it is, I'm going to definitely be grateful to have them, welcome them with open arms, kind of be that support system or whatever.
In the backcourt, Mitchell Rose starred him alongside her running mate Caitlin Clark. However, the former Ohio State Bucky might want to take on a larger role and serve as the face of another team because, regardless of how you look at it, she will always be the face of the Fever as long as Clark is in Indiana. Mitchell is not a restricted free agent, so the Fever cannot keep her by matching bids from other teams. Instead, they must outbid other teams and present a strong argument to keep her as a backup, which could be difficult given everything she has contributed to the franchise. While 2024 appears to be a good year for Mitchell's career, she had her lowest number of turnovers per game in her 7 seasons, her second highest rebounding and 3 percentage outputs, and a career high in points per game and field goal percentage. She also has a unique opportunity to build on the recognition she gained and become the primary driver for a WNBA franchise that might need one.
Williams bricks it. Clark another rebound. Tosses ahead. Wheeler extra feed. Oh, that was pretty. Plus the foul.
Defense on one end where Leah Boston came over to help, and then just a beautiful foul.
Since Pammy Bennell doesn't stretch the floor or protect the rim, she is a restricted free agent this offseason, and Indiana may prioritize using their cap space elsewhere. As a result, the Fever will probably look for a better fit around Clark to use off the bench. After 4 seasons of playing only overseas, she battled injuries but still managed to average 6.4 points, 4.7 rebounds, and 7 blocks in 18.9 minutes per game, but it's difficult to predict how much of a commodity she will be. Although she didn't play in a WNBA game during the previous 4 seasons, she did play the most minutes per game during her career and consequently had her best statistical outputs across the 5 major categories in her career. She played for the Lynx for 3 seasons from 2017 to 2019 before joining the Fever this year. The Fever will have options and have the right to match any offer she receives in the WNBA. They anticipate that she will find a new home this offseason as Indiana looks to use their cap space elsewhere.
And here is Jones. Denial at the rim. Sent back by Fagbenle. She's going to try her luck on the offensive end. Fagbenle ducks in and finishes.
How about that, back-to-back? The block in the bucket.
Fagbenle has only played in 991 career games since being drafted in 2016, and Indiana needs experience next to Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston, especially since someone like Kelsey Mitchell leaves, so she could let her move and look to sign a player who is a little more dynamic and has more WNBA experience under her belt with the addition of
Fagbenle able to get in and get the basket off the in.
Phenomenal answer and question by Mike Tebow and Holly Rowe.
Wheeler. Erica, the experienced guard, is another player with whom Indiana may part ways. Former All-Star Erica Wheeler will also be a restricted free agency when the window opens on January 21st. Wheeler averaged the 9th most minutes per game in 2024 despite being the 2nd highest paid player for the Fever in 2023. The 57 guard went from starting in 2023 to backup. Because she was only allowed to play 14 minutes per game, Caitlin Clark averaged 9.9 points, 5.0 assists, 3.0 rebounds, and 1.1 steals in 6.8 minutes a game as their starter in 2023. This was her lowest statistical output since her debut season in 2015. Fever fans have been wondering if the rumors about her possible departure are real, but the news is not shocking because she has traveled a little during her 10-year WNBA career, so nobody should be surprised to see her on the move once more. The 33-year-old hopes to earn much more than Indiana is willing to pay, and she anticipates the team to move on and use that cap space on a player who is a better fit next to their 22-year-old superstar.
We saw Temi, I think, with like a cast. Any updates you can provide on her?
Yeah, she's going to get to the doctor, I think, around the 5th, and they're going to look at it and see kind of where she is, and hopefully we can.
Wheeler is just finishing up the 2nd season of her 2nd stint in Indiana, and it is evident that she is not yet ready to commit to her future with the Fever. During that time, the 5'7" guard averaged 3.6 points. With the changing of the guard in Indiana, the 33-year-old, who finished the previous season with 1.4 rebounds and 1.8 assists in 14.0 minutes per game, may be close to retiring or may attempt to salvage 1 or 2 more years from her erratic career. A seasoned player like this is unlikely to be retained by another organization. Fever needs a veteran presence on the court, especially someone who can contribute on the defensive end of the ball, even though they may want a veteran to coach some of the younger guys off the side. Wheeler's finest days are over, and even though she made a strong contribution the previous season, she might be leaving this offseason.
Tonight. Yeah, they worked on it. It's about all they worked on, I think, the last couple of days. Oh, how about a banker for Wheeler, way outside.
Samuelson. Katie Lou, despite playing the 9th most minutes per game, Samuelson was the Fever's 3rd highest paid player. The 6'2" three-wing missed the 2023 season and has had trouble recovering. She did not participate in the playoff rotation and averaged just 4.3 points per game on 34.9% shooting from the field. The Fever sought to find a team willing to take on Samuelson's contract, which expires in 2025 at $10,250. She was a star at UConn but has struggled to reach those. Although the 27-year-old doesn't play enough defense to be a good fit surrounding Clark, heights in the WNBA might get better in 2025. David Clark finding a deal for Scribbler won't be simple, but teams will have space for growth. When the Golden State Valkyries join the league, the Fever should look into the market to increase their chances of competing. Greetings from Seattle, which is now ranked 7th in the nation for the greatest locations to live in the city, with directions Principal Paul's business endeavors and his entrepreneurial traits serve as an inspiration for downtown living.
Yeah, and also to piggyback on that, like, we don't condone any of those things. For the more you know, eyes been on us since C got drafted. So for us, our ears been blocked out longer than most people, if that make any sense. So like I've said a comment before, like it's a lot of things that tried to come in this building and to pull us apart that we just didn't let. However, we probably got it too. We just don't care about it, because what's important is this organization and us winning games, and that's what we did. So, but for the most part, we don't condone that. I don't care about it.
Like Samuelson Wallace, Christy Wallace should not be allowed to return after going from reserve to starter to out of the rotation this season. The 5'11" guard played a 20-minute stint for the 2023 Fever and was a brilliant floor spacer.
What can you kind of walk us through your season? Because there's some highs and lows. It felt like there was a turning point, maybe at that illness, and then you're out a few games, and then minutes started to dip. What kind of happened there and impacted your season?
Yeah, I can honestly say this was the toughest season I've ever had. As a player, as a person, so many different things.
The shooting next to Clark was what Indiana wanted, but Wallace's defense was too problematic. The 28-year-old's contract is slated to expire in 2025, and she will make $8,823. Does any team see Wallace as a rotation component that every franchise wants to shoot? And is there a chance she may recover in a different setting?
Yeah, feel really good. It's just a load management thing, so I think we have like 11 games in 20 days or something, so I think just a load management thing for me, which is good, and I'm feeling really good and ready to go tonight.
No. Lisa Smith, although Smith was mostly a starter, her output declined in the third season. The 604 forward averaged 15.5 points and 9.2 rebounds in 2023, but her shooting attempts were far worse with Clark in town. Following the first decline, MCN Jr. remained a safe haven and started making threes. Although the 24-year-old is a bucket, her inability to defend and shoot makes her a dubious fit in Indiana.
You don't see Ionescu get chippy like that, slapping the hand away of Christy.
Yeah, she's frustrated.
She was benched for Game 2 after playing just 9 minutes in Game 1 of their first-round playoff series, and it is obvious that she is not a part of the Fever's long-term plans. The Fever and Snyder took over this set, and Smith only watched a portion of the movie's production. The Fever's number 2 overall choice in 2022 is probably going to leave the franchise this offseason, and Smith will be trying to control the Fever wherever she ends up.
How hard was it with your role kind of changing a lot throughout the year or two to be the player that you maybe hoped or wanted to be this year?
It was really hard because coming in there was a lot of different conversations of how it was going to play out. So just it fluctuating throughout the season. It was a lot of highs and lows.
We got James and Chloe.
D taking a step back and closing up on Dolson D. Indiana looks to dump the 31-year-old contract that is about to expire in order to further improve their roster because the WNBA is essentially starting over in 2026, when the salary cap is anticipated to increase significantly. The Fever should try to get a head start on the process by dumping their unwanted contracts for strong fits to their roster, the M says. Although Caitlin Clark, the 603 forward, seems to have passed her prime, she does provide some floor spacing that the front line sorely needs. Although her defense is difficult, particularly on a fast-paced team, Cortez played a significant role in the postseason and is not the worst player to retain around. However, the Fever want to shoot, so they aim to get younger, more versatile players as the club looks to advance. The Indiana Fever will look different the next season, according to Paul Chambers, senior fellow at the Institute for Psychology at the University of Houston. They plan to be major players in free agency and are keen to assemble a championship contending group around family. Clark, there will be a lot of moves. If you like the video, please remember to subscribe and share. I'll be back soon with more from Caitlin Clark. I see you in the film.
So can you kind of elaborate on what you meant by that and what kind of was different in your mind?
Well, I mean, everybody comes into a season thinking they're going to have this outstanding, accolade, achievement, season. So, I mean, I feel like I didn't get to do as much as I wanted to do. I didn't get to contribute as much as I wanted to contribute. So
Dances backing in on Dolson. Dances with a step back. Dotson connects.